from Zimmer Labs, and here to do a video on this Phoenix Props bend solo that I just finished up for Paul. Paul, let me know what you think. We started this guy by doing some work on the exterior of it. This hilt is a really nice piece, but it does need a little help as far as the finish goes out of the box. It's just got a really plain matte metal finish. So for this one, the look that we were going for was used but well taken care of, been around the block, apprentice lightsaber. So to achieve that, we did an acid wash and then a heavy polish and then a light polish, leaving some of the crusties and corrosion in the cracks to really kind of make things pop. You check out down inside the emitter, you can see what I mean. There are lots of little elements, decorative bits down here that really stand out if you give them something to contrast with. I'm going to put a little bit of a polish on the brass belt hook, or whatever you want to call this piece. Inside this guy is a Proffieboard, Neopixels, Goth 3 Designs Paladin chassis, 2650 battery. We went with a Sanyo 3000 milliamp hour 30 amp battery in this guy. So this makes for a really bright saber. It's a really powerful battery. It's a really good battery to use for Neopixels if you have the room. But one nice thing about this chassis is it gives you a lot of room to put a big battery in there. It's actually designed to have a 26650 battery in it. It's big enough to do that, but the Sanyo that I put in here is a better battery than any 26650 that I've ever seen. So that's why we did that. The blade plug in the top is the standard blade plug that it comes with. And let's fire it up real quick so you guys can check it out, and I'll run you through it. If you unscrew the bottom of the pommel, you have access to the recharge port, and this is a an iron finished kill key down here. Twist to activate. I'll just leave that guy off for now. 2 buttons are over here. They are built in, and the design of the buttons is part of the overall saber design, which is nice. Something that the hilt designer, hilt manufacturer lays out for you just to make life that much easier. That's your power, that's your auxiliary. And as you can see, the blade plug's illuminated. Pop it out, the retention screws here on the side. This is the blade plug that it comes with. And we're running a Shtok Custom Works Neopixel onboard connector with pogo pins, and then this is the first time I've used this pogo pixel connector holder. Try saying that 3 or 4 times. Not sure if you guys can get a good look at that, but hopefully that shows up well. It is a housing that the actual blade connector sits inside of, which is 3D printed, and then it gives you the option of adding some decorative elements to it. So I did wrap that in some uninsulated lead wire, and that has a really cool just look to it. Kind of like the electronics are more exposed almost, even though they're not real electronics, they're just decorative. But the look is cool, but the other nice thing about it is it lines up the blade connector dead centered, so you don't have to worry about anything being off center. And as you can see, these guys are plenty bright. To get access to the internals, there are 3 screws. One here, one on the side, one on this side. As you can see, these 2 are already taken out, and that's just for simplicity's sake for this video. Obviously, I would have the screws, all 3 of them, in if I was using the saber or displaying the saber. But you take those 3 out, and then you can just slide it out. As you can see, this guy slid to a stop, and that's because I put a set screw in the back and created a channel on the back of the chassis, which I'll show you guys in a bit. But the idea is that it will keep the bottom half of the hilt in place when you slide it open. And this was a budget build saber that I did for Paul, but because the chassis just lent itself to a really nice crystal chamber, and just, you know, as a surprise, I put a crystal chamber in it because I don't like to send a product out the door without it being as awesome as I can make it within reason at the price point and for the budget. So for this guy, I had some extra pieces kicking around. I wasn't going to use them for anything, and I thought, why not try to make Paul a little extra happy and put a nice crystal chamber in there for him. So did a nice quartz crystal. It is a brass and aluminum crystal chamber housing down here that I sourced out of Rudy Pando crystal chamber for an MK1. These pieces I typically will just take out and either recycle or throw away because I'm going to use a different crystal chamber insert on the MK1. But it's a nice little insert, nothing wrong with it, and it certainly fits quite well in this saber. It's like it was built for it. I mean, it's literally the exact size that the chassis is looking for. The crystal chamber is designed to mimic the blade. So whatever the blade is doing, the crystal is going to be doing. And while we're in here, if you look up top, you guys can see that the Proffieboard is sitting right up in here, and you have access to the SD card and USB port right there. So if you do need to get in there, change any sound fonts, do any programming, configuration adjustments, whatever, it's easy as just sticking a USB right up in there. Let me quickly loosen this little set screw that keeps the hilt bottom half on. Just a couple turns, and then it will slide right off. And I just put a channel right here on the back of the chassis that set screw rides in, so that it goes up and down only to a certain point, but that keeps the bottom half of the hilt in place. Here is the chassis fully revealed. In here, this whole section right here, the whole point of this is just for power, so for a battery. So that's why I said you can get a really big battery in there. And like I said, it is designed for a 26650, which is a monster. I put some extra decorative elements on the side here just because it was a good spot for them and they look nice. And then your speakers hanging out down here. I used one of my new super premium JBL speakers in this guy, which sounds really nice. And recharge port on the bottom. Speaker's sound comes right out through this perforated or vented section, so you get lots of sound, lots of audio comes out of this. And then when you put this guy back in, there's a little channel here you just need to line up with this area, and then it slides right in. That is the internals. The other minor change that I made to the chassis that's of note would be these two steel bars here. This chassis is designed and comes with just plastic extensions or legs that run from this section to this section, and they look just like that. But rather than just have two big thick hunks of plastic, I snipped them off and did some steel there instead. Just gave it a little bit more pop, and it made it a little bit more classy looking, not to mention a bit stronger. That's about it as far as the inside goes. Put this screw in to hold the two halves together. And I'm going to set the back screw as well, so it's not sticking out. And you just twist it in until you feel it touch the chassis. You don't have to over tighten it at all. Blade plug is already out. Now we can insert the blade. It's a 1-inch blade on this guy. I'm going to set the set screw over here. Let's jump back to the beginning. Here's your first blade. Paul, your first blade is a blue and white with audio flicker. Well, I think I jumped it back one too far. So the first blade is blue and white audio flicker blade. Everything on this guy is a smoothswing sound font. Oops. Here's a good lesson for everyone. If you don't tighten your blade tight enough and the pogo pins move or slide at all on the blade connector, you are going to get a lockup on your sound card, and that's caused by the wrong connection being made or a data line getting a skip in it. So just be careful to tighten your blade up nice and tight when you put it in. Next up, second blade is cyan. And that sound phone actually needs some work because every time I go to it and do a blade lockup, it locks everything up. So before I send this out, I'm going to have to tweak that, Paul. Next blade, third blade up, is sky blue. Fourth blade is Dodger blue, I believe. Next one up is a regular blue. Oh, that was a regular blue. So this is the electricity blade. Fifth or sixth blade is just a standard green. Next guy is... I don't remember what this is exactly. I think this is just a custom color that is... It's like a lighter cyan. Next up is the audio flicker white yellow blade with a blue clash. It's one of my favorites. The contrast is just really good. Next one is a gradient blade that is blue to white. It's a custom sound font that I made out of mismatching some different sound fonts, taking elements from one to another. I just really like this guy, and I like the color scheme of it for a Ben Solo saber, because the color that you see in the movie in The Last Jedi, it's kind of hard to put your finger on, but it kind of reminds me of it. Next one is a modified color cycle blade. It is a brown noise flicker blade, color cycle blade, done in dark orange, I think. Nice bright blade lockup. And and the cycle on and off is really fast. Next up is a yellow spark tip Corin horn sound font blade. A blood orange pulsing blade. Magenta blade with a slow pulse. Blue fire blade. Standard fire blade. My standard blue color cycle blade with a modified retraction so that it doesn't cycle down but retracts down. Next one is a new color cycle blade. I think this guy I did in green. Okay, I thought it was yellow, but at any rate, new modified font that I made from mishmashing a few different fonts for this guy. I just think the sound effects work really well with that blade. And lastly, you have your battery indicator blade, showing the battery is mostly charged, probably 4.1 volts or so. And back to the beginning, your blue and white audio flicker blade. Let's see what else to show you guys, tell you guys about on this one. Guess that's about it. Put the kill key back in, because you guys should always store your sabers with the kill key in or the kill switch set to on so that the battery doesn't drain. Yeah, I guess that's about it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. What's coming up? I've got a really nice MK1 that I just started for Zen. This guy is in the mix. I've got a Night Brother for Ronnie. I'm not sure when I'm going to do this one, but it's definitely in the mix, and this is going to be fun because this is a really cool hilt. I'm not personally big on the double hilt saber staff type things, but this guy is, like everything from Watto's Junkyard, really incredibly well made, beautifully machined, you know, not a mark on it. Everything looks great, fits great. They do a really nice job with their designs. Then probably the next thing that I'll be doing a video for that is just about finished is my E11 or TFA modified Imperial Blaster. And this guy is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's 99% done. I just have to install the tracer unit so that it shoots lasers, but this will be soon to come. And I guess that's it as far as what's coming. I'm sure there's more that I'm not thinking of right now, but that's good enough for now. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned.